Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ryan Simmons, and today we're going to be talking about experience versus knowledge. All right, now I know this can be a big fight for some people because experience is important, but knowledge is pretty important too. And in my career, I've seen people who are very impressed by my level of education and people that see it as an absolute negative because they think that I think I'm going to know too much. And I really try not to be a little bit know-it-all or whatever you really want to call it. I'm actually trying to gain a little bit of experience because I know the two together are just a winning combination. One of the things I want to bring up is that knowledge is very important to lowering that learning curve, to make a learning curve less steep so that any experience that you have is easier to adapt to. Experience is important to get confidence. And the more experience you have, the easier the work can become because it's no longer more of a novel experience. However, with what was said about knowledge, the more knowledge that you have about something, the easier it is to act like you have more experience than you actually have. So it's really a double-edged sword. If you have no experience, but you have a lot of knowledge, you can do okay. If you have experience, but you lack knowledge, that can also be a problem. That's what we really need to identify between the two, knowledge and experience. What's interesting about the two, experience and knowledge, is that experience tends to be a little bit more limiting as a learning experience than going through formal education. What I mean by this is by having experience, you're seeing just one possible perspective. Through learning through that experience, you're actually building biases. Now, biases can be good, or they can limit what you know or what you're willing to do about something because of an experience that you've had. Education, formal education, is actually set up in such a way where you're trying to remove biases or think around biases. Critical thinking skills are what we're talking about when we talk about formal education. So if we have people that are used to doing things a certain way, they have a hard time thinking around that certain way of doing things because that's the way it's always been done. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. That's an experience bias that somebody has. Formal education tries to get you to see around those issues. Well, why is it always done that way? And asking questions like that, because that helps you move beyond what may be a limiting situation. So the last thing I'm going to address is that person out there who has a lot of knowledge, who has gone through a lot of education, but still is pretty bad at what they do. Or that person with a ton of experience, but that experience wasn't necessarily quality experience, so that they don't know what to do. Not all education and not all experiences are built the same. What we're really trying to do when we're talking about these two issues in the workplace, we're trying to find people that have quality, knowledge, and experience. The two of those things together not only help you lower the learning curve and back up your education, but it can actually lead to some novel things in the workplace that actually work. One of the things that I run into in change management a lot are the people that say, as we talked about a little bit earlier, this is the way they've always been done. I've also run into the other thing that I hear a lot, which is we can't do it because the last time we did it, it didn't work. That's not a really great answer for me because in their experience, yes, it didn't work. However, they're not asking the right questions. Why didn't it work? They're not asking what was inhibiting them from moving forward and having a positive outcome. Just because something didn't work the first time doesn't mean it's not the solution now. And that extra added experience of that failure can actually lead to a more successful outcome if we are asking the right questions. Again, people with a lot of knowledge are not necessarily bad to have in your organization. They can be a real asset. People with a lot of experience, as we all know, can be an asset, but they can also be a little bit of a hindrance. So really, let's try to find the balance between the two. Whatever that balance is probably going to be fairly unique for either your organization or that particular position. Let's be careful what kind of judgment we put on knowledge and experience. All right, if you guys like what you heard, go ahead and hit that like button. If you got any comments, go ahead and comment down below. If you don't agree with me, that's great. I'm fine with that. Let's talk about it. All right, if you guys liked any of the other videos and you like what's going on this channel, please subscribe. It's kind of how I know that you guys like what you're hearing, and maybe I should do a little bit more of this. Okay, guys, until later, I'm still Dr. Ryan Simmons, and I'll see you out there.